Yeah, so today we've come to County Wexford, an area that's seen a lot of growth in dairy cows, and we've come here to look at a DeLaval Parlour, a 14-unit DeLaval Parlour. So we're here with Paddy Murphy. We've come here today to look at a 14-unit herringbone parlour. It's fair to say it's probably a very common size in Ireland, given the size of herds. And so we'll go for a walkthrough shortly, Paddy, with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to give a description on your business, say, that you're running?
Yeah, sure. We're running the business here from Enniscorthy in Wexford. We're covering Wexford, Wicklow, parts of Carlow. We're doing DeLaval Parlours and robots also. We've 17 working in the business at the moment, between installers and servicemen, and we'd have the aftermarket side then obviously as well. We'd have a van on the road selling chemicals and teat dips and all the spare parts, and then we have a shop in Enniscorthy with all spare parts, and we do scrapers and gates and barriers and all that from there as well. So
okay,
we're kept busy.
So is it fair to say since 2015 you've seen a big growth in your business, Paddy, or what's the trajectory like?
Absolutely, it's been a massive growth in the business, driven by several different things. You have a lot of new entrants like David today. We'd have an awful lot of expansion then, and either new parlours going in for existing customers or extra units going on as well. So
okay,
every side of it really is increasing, you know.
Okay. So, and you're across robots, herringbones, rotaries.
Absolutely.
You cover all of that?
All of it, yeah.
24/7 cover?
24/7 cover, absolutely, yeah. So it has to be with robots, especially if the 24/7 cover, so we'd have lads rotating on call all the time, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as I said, we're coming to see here a 14-unit parlour. Is it a common size that you'd see? Or
would be very common, yeah. We'd have fitted an awful lot of 14-unit, 16-unit parlours, that kind of size, especially for new entrants, I suppose, like David, who are maybe getting in with 80 to 100, 120 cows. It's a nice size parlour.
Okay.
I suppose, like David as well here, most of the guys would be leaving room maybe for 2, 3, 4 more units. So, you know, the machine just needs more units. I suppose the vacuum pump and milk pump and all will drive it. So it's just a matter of, at the building stage, leaving more space, you know.
Okay, very good. Yeah. So, sure, we might start in the dairy, so and look at the milk tank, and
absolutely.
You can talk us through that.
Okay.
We might start kind of at the end where the milk ends up. Your milk tank here, what size is it?
So that's a 9,700 litre bulk tank, DeLaval tank with a T200 fast wash, so very quick tank to wash and uses very economical on water as well. You should also have the 3 detergent pumps, which is needed now with your D-scale, your detergent and your paracetic rinse.
Okay. And direct expansion?
Direct expansion, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Very good. What are we looking at down here? There's a bit of a switch down there.
Yeah, we've a switch here. I don't know if you can see. So when the lever here is pulled up to open the valve, it'll hit the switch there. That'll mean that once this connection is put onto the front of the tank, you're in your milk position. It's a fail-safe really, that you can't put the machine in wash while it's connected to your tank, you know.
Okay, very good. Right, so we'll move on. So I suppose your plate cooler then, it's your plate cooler here. So again, it's there's no ice water going into this. It's purely out of a well, is it?
It's purely coming from a well. So you've a solenoid valve here, so the water is cutting in when the milk pump is pumping. So very economical on water. You're using about 1 litre of water to a litre of milk.
Okay. Yeah. And only using it when the milk pump is
just
on.
when the milk pump is running.
Okay.
So the water is pumping when the milk pump is pumping.
Okay. Yeah. So and what's this device here?
That's the purge. So for purging out the line at the end of milk and get the last of the milk out.
Right. Again. Yeah. And again, are they the filters for the air then?
The air filters for the air compressor, the air line that's using on the purge. Yeah.
And why have that?
Moisture, basically. Moisture coming from compressors into any of your switches or anything like that can cause big problems after a while.
Okay. So no contamination of milk.
Well,
that prevents that.
It's more. It prevents. Yeah, it will. I suppose. Yeah, it's preventing any moving parts seizing up because of getting moisture in them, I suppose. You know.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Auto wash anyway. So he went for an auto wash.
He has a DeLaval auto wash. David has. So again, you've your 3 dosing pumps here with your detergent, your D-scale, and your paracetic rinse. Very straightforward to use. It's just one button, and your vacuum pump and all is controlled from here. So it's basically turning on your machine from here. Same for wash, then you have a button for wash. Several different settings you can have for different wash cycles, like depending on how many rinses and detergent, how many detergent washes and all that can all be set for each farm.
Okay, the paracetic then, you mentioned that. Or say where in the wash cycle is that used?
In the final rinse.
Right.
In the final, it's your disinfectant basically.
Okay. And how long is that a requirement?
That's been a requirement, I suppose. Lambia made that mandatory about a year ago, I think. They got rid of the chlorine out of the detergents, or recommended no chlorine, so you need a parasitic rinse then to disinfect.
Right, okay, very good. And do you see a lot of uptake of auto washes with the TAMS grant, or what drives it? Is it more on the labour side, or is it a combination of factors?
Absolutely. Well, we'd often have guys saying to us when they put one in that it can speed up the milking by more than putting in an extra couple of units, really, because once you're finished milking, wash out your parlour, turn it on, and you're gone, you know, it's ready for the next milking when you come back. So there is a nice time saving for it. Plus, you know, your machine has been washed right every time as well, you know.
Okay. So we have a 14 unit machine here. How many litres of water would that take, say, hot water typically?
You're looking at about 3 gallons a unit, so 30 to 52 gallons.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And how is he heating water here?
David has a gas heater here.
Okay. Yeah. Is it a good way of heating water?
We see most customers going with gas now, to be honest. Very few electric heaters going in. It seems to be gas is the way most are going now.
Right.
You know? Yeah. Which, without the chlorine in the detergents, you also seem to need a very good supply of hot water.
Right.
So the gas is giving you that a steady, whatever you're set at 75 degrees, you're getting it all the way through the wash. You know?
Right. Okay. Very good. So no, sure, we'll move out there so and see the parlour itself. So we're looking at a 14 unit machine here. Could you describe the automation that's on it?
Yeah, sure. So we have a 40 unit machine with automatic cluster removers. You have 2x2 electronic pulsation. We have a swing out type wash line with Harmony high capacity clusters. We have a stainless steel receiver with an FMP 110 milk pump, and it's all driven with a DVP 2000F variable speed drive vacuum pump.
Right. Is the milk pump variable speed?
Milk pump is not variable speed on this job.
Yeah.
David would have had his grant before it was made compulsory to put the variable speed drive on, but it can be added to it in the future, no problem. Yeah.
And you have the purge then is where on the line, if you could point it out?
Your purge is just here on the line, so you have an air supply coming down and purging out the last of the milk.
Yeah, and what's the advantage of that then, say, for people that mightn't have it? What is the main advantage of that?
Well, I suppose most tanks now are a bottom fill tank like we saw on the tank out there rather than the old traditional top fill, so it needs a blast of air to push the last of the milk out of the line and into the tank.
Okay, grand. Should we more walk down there? So. Yeah. So this button here then, Paddy, what's that doing? Is that...
So we have one button here, but there's different functions from the button depending on like one press or a long press or 2 presses. So what that'll do for you is this is controlling the automatic cluster remover. So if you put your clusters on your cow at normal, it'll remove. But if you hold in that button for a couple of seconds, it'll leave the cluster remover on manual so that you can override it and take off the cluster yourself whenever you want, maybe for a slow milking cow or something like that. There's also good functionality from this that if you have your last row of cows, say there's 3 cows in the final row, you can hold this in with a long press and it'll drop the clusters that aren't on the cows, so you can start to put them on your wash line while you're milking the last 3 cows. So little things like that can speed up the milking.
Yeah. So when David starts milking his cow, does he have to press the button, or is it cluster
when
remover?
David starts milking his cow, the cluster will be hanging up here. Just take the weight off the cluster. He's got comfort start.
Yeah.
Pulsation will start, the cord will release, and he can put his cluster on his cow.
Right.
And then on the reverse side of that, when the cluster is removed, the pulsation and the vacuum stop.
Okay.
So the advantage of that as well is that the pulsators are only running while they're actually on the cow. So from a service point of view, those movable parts in the pulsators are only working for a short period of time.
Okay. What size milk line?
3-inch milk line.
Okay. How many units would that do if you maxed it out?
3-inch milk line will go to 19 units. For 20 units, we put a 4-inch
okay.
usually.
Yeah. That's fine. And no dump line?
No dump line here, no.
Yeah.
No.
So if he has mastitis or whatever, it's a dump bucket?
Dump bucket, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
fine. And so in time then, if he wants to put in a milk indicator and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. At the moment, David has these white HFC valves there. They're kind of sensing the flow of milk, and once the flow drops, trigger the remover to remove.
Yeah.
But in time, if you want, replace that with a milk indicator, no problem.
Yeah, I see. Say the centres then, what are the cows standing in?
Yeah, so this is 2'6" centre parlour with angled mangers with stainless steel bottoms, so cows are standing at 2'6" centres, and all the units are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why would people go for, say, a 2'2" centre then? Where do you see the choice, or why do people do different things?
We see, I'd say, good 80-90% of our parlours will be going in at 2'6" centres. We'd see some going in maybe at the 2'2". Sometimes it's the weight of the building might dictate it, so you're looking at an 18'6" kind of building here for this. But a lot of people, of course, are going in existing buildings. And it's, I suppose, you've different levels of control over the cows depending on the parlour. If you go with your 2'2" and put in an automatic baling system, you've a lot of control over the cow, but maybe without it, her head is out and move back and forth quite well.
Right, yeah. There's many options there for people anyway.
Many options, absolutely, and I suppose it's go and see a couple of parlours and milk in a couple of parlours and see what's going to suit your own scenario.
And user preference is huge.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so teat spray then, how is teat spray happening?
David's teat
doing it manually?
No, he's not.
Or is
David has a drag line teat sprayer.
Yeah.
So it's coming down to this point here, and he has a hose from there that he can bring to any point in the parlour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
It's an option a few people are going with lately, I suppose, to have less hanging down in the centre of the parlour.
Yeah. So in terms of gates then, he went for a mix of automatic and manual?
He did, absolutely. Yeah, David has, so these are vacuum gates here at the back. So they just come around behind the cow and nice and gently kind of position the last cow.
Yeah.
And they're lock-in position then at that, they can't push back again.
Okay.
And he has manual gates at the front, which he has attached a rope to, so he can actually open the manual gate.
Okay.
From anywhere along.
Yeah.
Along the line.
Okay. And the advantage then of, say, the air-operated gate at the back, what would you say in terms of the mix in that? Is there a need or what?
We'd see some people that will go with the option David has of where he's his manual gates at the front and the air operated at the back. The air operated at the back, it's that positioning of the last cow, I think, is nearly the biggest advantage, you know.
Right. Keeps her straight in?
Keeps her straight, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I know there's a lot of light in the parlour here. It's a bit of a fault in some parlours where there's not a lot of natural light. There's plenty of natural light here, which makes a big difference.
It's a nice place to work, I suppose, with plenty of light.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the lights as well, either side of the pit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every day.
If you go with your lights down the centre, you're going to have an awful lot of shadow in the winter with everything hanging down the middle, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So in terms of the falls then, again, just managing falls in parlours and stuff like that, the site was naturally probably falling backwards, but you fall the pit towards the dairy.
This pit is falling towards the dairy,
yeah.
So the receiver is at the front. Normally the pit will fall to the side the receiver is at.
Right.
Receiver can be fitted to the back in certain scenarios as well if needs be. You know?
Okay, yeah. Okay.
If the fall's on the farm, it has to be.
Yeah. There's less stainless probably anywhere falling forward if the
absolutely, and less area then to clean, obviously, with the stainless, you know.
Yeah, okay. And typically the fall that you like in a parlour?
About 1 in 80 is kind of
right.
Is the fall we'd usually be going with.
Okay. So in terms of, say, for new entrants like we have here, obviously there's a lot of pressure in the spring for people calving cows. There's deadlines to be met. Say, as an example here, when did you start fitting this machine and how long did it take to fit?
Well, actually, quite unusually, we fitted this machine, I'd say it was September time, even though David wasn't going to be calving till January.
Yeah.
So, look, he had his grant and he had his building and all done, so it suited to get it fitted before our busiest time of the year, and the time of the year he was going to be under pressure as well. So
it was a big help for you.
Oh,
with such a massive workload in the spring.
It's a very seasonal business that, you know, all new entrants need their work done at that time of the year. Also guys that are doing building work maybe in existing parlours to put on extra units. So it's a lot of work all at one time of the year.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we might walk out there, sure, and see the approach to the parlour. Yeah. So Paddy, we're looking at a bar here that you wouldn't see in too many parlours just for that entry. Could you explain what this is and why it was put in?
Yeah, I suppose David's left room for another couple of units here, which means you have a kind of a longer raceway along by the edge of your pit than you would if the last unit was back here. So it's just, you'll have cows congregating there and heifers, you know, it's just a third bar there to stop a leg falling in or whatever, you know. I think we came back and fitted that for David after a few weeks of being up and running.
Yeah. It's a safety feature.
Safety feature, basically, absolutely.
Yeah, protect the people
just
inside.
With that extra raceway we have because of the room for the extra units.
Yeah, good. So just in terms of back to your install, do you fit everything on site, or do you say assemble in Enniscorthy, or is everything done on site?
Everything's done on site,
Okay.
We fit it all on site.
Yeah. How many days to fit?
Well, I suppose it's a stage thing because you're fitting rails and curb and then you're back to fit the parlour and stuff, but I suppose to fit just the parlour side of it, you're probably looking at about 2 weeks, I suppose.
Okay, yeah. How many men?
Probably 2 men, maybe 3 men at times, yeah.
Okay, fine. So Paddy, in terms of service, say this machine is operating maybe since mid-January. Typically, when are you back again for?
Actually, we only changed the liners for David yesterday, so yeah, usually 6 months or 2,500 milkins out of a set of liners would be recommended. Back for a service then probably in January.
Okay.
Yeah, so quite an easy machine to service as well. There's not even an awful lot after the first year on it, I suppose, because with these HFC valves, you get 2 years out of the little diaphragm inside in those, and pulsators, there's service on those as well. But again, because of the pulsation stop, we don't need to do that too regularly.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
And do you have service contracts, or is it typically just more for robots, that is, or is it?
Yeah, it is more for robots. We would have a service contract pretty much on every robot. But on parlours, we do offer it, but I suppose most people go the traditional route of calling you when they need a service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So stray voltage is something that's spoken about in parlours, and maybe it was more common 20 years ago. People talked about it more, but there's a lot of new machines going in, and maybe people are catering better for stray voltage. Yeah. Your earth wires here, is that what you're trying to solve?
Yes, absolutely. So look at it, the parlour needs to be well worth it. I suppose it is more of a known issue now that electricians and builders are more aware of it, I suppose, and it's just the earthing of the parlour is very important.
And where it's not done right, then what happens?
I suppose if you have stray voltage, you're going to have cows dancing in the parlour. There are going to be mastitis problems and stuff like that then afterwards, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So will we have a look at the cluster and see what's different about the Harmony cluster and what features are on it?
Sure. So this is the Harmony milking cluster. It has a 360mm bowl, so it's a high capacity cluster able for high yielding cows. A few unique features to it is the liner is not sitting on there's not a spout coming out here, it's actually pushed up into the bowl. So you have nowhere there for that liner to get split.
Right.
Yeah, and then also the Harmony cluster has top flow technology. So the milk is coming out of the top of the cluster. It's kind of sucked up from the bottom and out through the top. Most clusters you'd see it coming out here.
And what's the advantage of that?
It gives you stable vacuum,
right?
Basically, because you've no chance of the bowl flooding and vacuum being shut off to any water. Also, when the liners are hanging like they are there, vacuum is shut off on the cluster. So as you lift the cluster, there's vacuum in that cluster.
Very good.
Yeah.